What's up, my alpha dogs? It's Emily and Katy coming to you from WP Fusion today. We're going to be continuing our series where we're helping you build a website from scratch. So if you're new to creating a website in WordPress, we're talking about a lot of simple concepts. WP Fusion is a product that allows you to integrate WordPress with your CRMs. It includes a lot of complicated features, but in this series, we're going through step-by-step of how to build a website with all of the features that we hit along the way as we build out Katy's business. Katy, welcome. Do you think you could tell us a little bit about what we're going to be diving into today?
I'm going to try my best. It's so nice to be back here with you, Emily. And thanks for everybody that are joining us today for our live stream. All right. So today we are going to talk about cron jobs and SMTP. So if you've ever scheduled a post or wondered why your site's emails keep going to spam, this one's for you. You can think of a cron job as your site's to-do list. It's how WordPress knows when to publish a post, check for updates, or send out a reminder email. Now, WordPress uses something called Cron, which runs whenever someone visits your site. That's clever, but it's not perfect. If your site's quiet, those tasks might not exactly run on time. That's why some folks set up a real server-side cron job. It's like giving your site a reliable alarm clock that runs whether or not someone stops by. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it does. And
Nice.
yeah, so like you said, the cron is for scheduled events. So WordPress runs on PHP, so it only executes that code when the PHP is loaded. And so if you have a scheduled event like an email broadcast that's supposed to go out in 2 days from now, or you have a funnel that like someone signs up your website, they get an email, it waits 2 days and sends them another email like we set up on our last stream, then you'll be leveraging the WordPress cron. And so the WordPress cron out of the box usually isn't good enough when you're running a CRM tool or email list tool out of the back end of your WordPress website. We are running an email list out of the back end of our WordPress website. We're doing Groundhogg, but FluentCRM is another popular one that you might have in the back of your WordPress website. When you visit the dashboard page for either Groundhogg or FluentCRM, it'll usually give you a checklist and it'll say, hey, your cron jobs are not configured. And hey, you need an SMTP service to be configured. So they'll usually walk you through exactly how to do this for each CRM, but we'll give you a high level so you kind of understand the principles and make sure that you get these items turned on.
Nice.
So let's talk about cron first. So the WordPress cron is basic. WordPress is built to support blogs. WordPress is built to support publishing posts in future. But if we're doing email scheduling, we might have like 10,000 people or 1,000 people or even 100 people who are going through an email funnel who are waiting for a certain date or event to happen. So the cron is going to be very important for us. And so Groundhogg has their own way to configure the cron. If we go to the configure your cron jobs, finish the task, it'll take us into the tools for Groundhogg. FluentCRM will have something similar. We can get started, and what this will do is install a file, the ghcron.txt. It's going to install that inside of our WordPress so that Groundhogg's own custom functionality can make sure that emails are running the way Groundhogg wants them to be running. But if you're noticing that you have so many scheduled events happening and scheduled events are failing, then you can offload your cron to a third-party service like free cron job. That's cronjob.org. This is a service you can connect to that pings your website intermittently. You can set it up, I think, down to the minute. I think you can set up so that every minute it pings your website and says, hey, do you have any jobs that are waiting to be done or any executions or scheduled events that we need to make sure happen? Your website will execute those scheduled events and you'll be good to go. So you'll only really be a minute off ever when it comes to things like that. And so offloading your cron jobs to a third party, very good thing to consider. In addition to cron jobs, what you'll need to set up is an SMTP service. If you're going to be sending hundreds of emails, thousands of emails, or tens of thousands of emails from the backend of WordPress, your website server is probably not going to like that. It's not prepared to send all that data. It's prepared to deliver HTML, JavaScript, and CSS and run PHP, the core of what our website is. So sending thousands of emails isn't a part of it. And so if you're running a CRM out of the backend of your website, we're going to need an SMTP tool. The easiest and most popular SMTP solution is this one, WP Mail SMTP. And so this allows us to connect to a free service such as SendGrid, allows you to do, I think, 100 emails a day for free. And I think they've just limited their plan. So now it's like 6 months you can do 100 emails a day for free, but then you have to pay them like $10 a month or something. There's a lot of SMTP solutions out there, but you'll want to make sure you have one of them if you're running emails out of the back end of your WordPress website and have that connected to your website through something like WP Mail SMTP. In addition to that, both Groundhogg and FluentCRM have their own SMTP solutions. Groundhogg has Mailhawk, which is a separate service, but they're owned by the same company and they integrate very well. And then Fluent has Fluent SMTP, created by the same people. It integrates very well into their email sending service. So you can go with their option. You could go with a free option like SendGrid. And I think there's Sendinblue might also have a free plan, and I think Twilio purchased them. So I think there's a few free SMTP options out there. You can find which SMTP options are supported on this list here, and you could look into these different services and see which one you think will work for you. I configured someone with Brevo the other day, so a lot of options for SMTP. But whenever you're running emails out of the backend of WordPress, make sure you have your cron jobs and SMTP set up. And even if you're not running a CRM out of the backend of WordPress, if you have a lot of customers signing up, you may want to consider setting up your SMTP anyway, because if you have a lot of purchases, you have a lot of purchase receipts that are being sent out of the backend of WordPress, you have lost password emails, things like that are always going to be coming out of the backend of WordPress. So even if you're not sending any emails, you might run into issues where your emails aren't being delivered and you need an SMTP solution. I know some people who are on shared hosting, they're on that $3 a month hosting, and their emails are not coming through because the servers that they're hosted on have already been spammed. And so the IP addresses are blocked by Google, and they're like, nope, we know that this IP address has been used for spam and you're on shared hosting, so you can't control it. So you need to have an SMTP solution for even your lost password emails to come through. So a few use cases for cron jobs and SMTP that are relevant to our favorite WP Fusion users. What do you think about that, Katie?
I think I got it. Okay, so just to recap, cron jobs are scheduled tasks, and SMTP is for reliable email sending, i.e., so things don't get sent to the spam folder. You need both of them if you have a large subscriber basis and you want to communicate and set up events.
Yes.
Okay.
And as a part of SMTP, a lot of times they'll now ask you to validate your DKIM records and SPF records. These are two records that are a part of your domain name so that you can verify that you own the domain. So if we're sending emails from ActiveCampaign and we have at wpfusion.com. So if like Katie at wpfusion.com sends you an email from ActiveCampaign, ActiveCampaign can use the SPF and DKIM records to verify that, yes, the person who is sending you this email does in fact own wpfusion.com. Like, this is verified. And Google and Yahoo require this now in order for messages to come through to the inbox. It's kind of like a soft requirement because I see the emails sometimes come through anyway, but always recommend go whatever SMTP solution you choose for your Groundhogg or whatever you're doing to send your emails. Go through the process of putting a couple copy and paste records into your DNS editor for wherever you registered your domain. They'll have a tutorial for you, but that'll verify that you do own the domain you're sending emails from.
Nice. That's super helpful. Yeah, and I think it's really great that you brought up a couple of programs that you'd recommend. And, if you're watching this not on live or if you are now, if you could drop some that you recommend in the comment section or the chat, we'd love to hear about it. I think our WP Fusion family is actually really well versed in this world. They know the great resources that work well within WordPress and that WP Fusion also is friendly with. So any sort of thoughts or recommendations in that way, we'd love to hear it. Love to learn from y'all. And yeah, I think this is kind of the next step in a growing business. So it's cool to support our small to medium businesses and show how do we, in fact, keep all of our subscribers, all of those who want the newsletter in active communication with us. And appreciate Emily walking us through it. Super helpful.
Yeah, totally. This tutorial this week wasn't very visual because we're just talking about these concepts at a high level. You'll implement these individually on your websites. But next week, we're talking about something fun. Do you want to preview what we're talking about next week?
Yeah, totally. Thanks for the opportunity. So, I don't know about y'all, but I find in my life when I'm building my small business that I happen to be a Renaissance person in that I have many talents that I would like to bring to the table. And it's hard to just offer one service uniquely when there are, in fact, a couple of different options that I want to make sure that my customers, my audience, those I'm engaging with know about. So next week, Emily has offered to help to reorient my website so there are multi-service options. So if you are a jack of all trades or a Jane of all trades, then this could be the perfect live cast for you to pop in, say hello, maybe say, yeah, this is what I do on my site. Trying to figure out how to bring in this additional skill set, think creatively through how to engage my audience in this new way, because that is ultimately what we will be talking about. I'll be offering probably, I think, 4 different kinds of services and trying to tie them under one umbrella, making a cohesive aesthetic whole as well as an easy site to navigate. And Emily's going to be my guru. No surprise there.
Yeah. So I'm really excited for this one. So catch us next week when we're talking about selling multiple services through your WordPress and email marketing with WP Fusion. But thank you everyone for joining us this week. We'll catch you next week, same time, same back channel, and hope you have a good rest of your week.
Bye, y'all.